I would like to begin by telling you a story. A story about a city. A living, breathing, moving city. A special place was known as the walking city. It was a place that carried its inhabitants through many worlds. It wandered through enchanted valley and haunted forests, enlightening its inhabitants and taking them on wonderful adventures. But today, it does not walk anymore. Its furnace is broken. It is no longer burning bright. The walking city lays slumped in the desert, casting dusty shadow over its crumpled, rusty legs. Within the city, a darker has taken over. Inhabitants wander the streets like lost souls. No one knows how to fix the city, how to bring it back to life. No philosopher, no warriors. Some in the city have hope the salvation is around the corner, but it's a blind corner. The king looks over his once great city. The darkness is everywhere. It has spread throughout everywhere, and even into his own mind. The king called together the greatest things in the kingdom, hoping to find a way to bring the city back to life. He promises gold and precious stone to anyone who may be able to raise the city onto its enormous legs again. They try everything to reunite the city, some building construction, others with magic and potion. But the fire that once burned bright is gone, and it seems that nothing will light it again. Until one day, a young boy appears before the king. "May I try?" asks the boy, and the desperate king accepts. The small boy approached the furnace and whispered to him, then carefully placed something inside. Suddenly, a slight rumble within the furnace begins. The rumbles grow louder and louder until it builds to a big roar. A fire erupts within the furnace, and the dust on the rusty leg of the city is blown away. Its joint cracks, and slowly the walking city rises again, casting long shadow, reaching out towards the horizon. The city stands once again. "It's a miracle," said the king. "How did you do it?" he asked the boy. "Just with this," he says.
My name is Alessandro Taini. I was the art director of Ninja Theory. Now I'm working VFX animated movie for Luma Pictures. So why I've been telling this fairy tale? Because our brain works as an interesting and sometimes very complicated machine. And this is how I wanted to illustrate it. Like a moving city that needs spark to turn on again. Sometimes we perceive beauty immediately. Sometimes our brain needs to compose internal puzzle to get a final, yes, we got it. And today we're gonna talk about the flame that we need to turn it on. So mankind always wondered, what is beauty? For some of them, beauty is God. For some of them is happiness. For sure, for all of them is an explosion of feelings. Is enthusiasm. All things appear new. I think appear like if you like this guy you saw before, as you saw it you see something for the first time. Beauty is an emotion that burns inside like a flame. If you have to think about a period of our life where all the feelings are super exaggerated, for sure we're thinking about our childhood, everything, holding a pastel and eating ice cream, all these small little things was super exciting for us. Everything, all the time was an Avengers. All the time was like super beautiful. Einstein said that to pursue beauty permit us to be child forever. And I have to think about my childhood. Every 3 months per year, I was living in the countryside when I was a kid after school. And I still remember now the smell of the countryside, the green. And every time now I smell it again, I feel beauty. I remember I was waiting, my father coming every weekend with from top of the hill with his car. He had an orange car, and I was looking at him coming, this orange car coming very close to me. I thought I was the most lucky kid in the world because I thought to have the General Lee car. And and I really want him to have the same wheels and to print all the number and the flags on top of it. So I don't know if this is the reason why in my paintings often I put green and orange. And in Enslave I did quite a lot. And Ninja, they used to really joke about that a lot. But this is how our brain works, basically. We are influenced constantly about our experience and background, and this is how we perceive beauty. In Devil May Cry, my background actually influenced myself. And listening at the master Miyazaki, I realized how is important our culture in spiritual way. The city has been drawing and showing to us is actually a real city when he was going for holiday, and the little kid is a kid of his friend. So I thought it was okay, I want to do the same. And in the DMC I put my city. You can see actually here the photo between the game and my city, Genoa. I thought the knowledge or the history I'm passionate about, and the knowledge I have about this city would make people enjoy it and feel the passion. Same thing for the paintings. When I had a chance to represent the past through the game, I thought what for me is represent the past, of course, is represented by beautiful and old master paintings. So in the flashback, I represented them, Dante, through Caravaggio, as people may perceive the past, maybe through the images. And you can see here, I was literally copy the shot and substitute basically Dante, Jesus with Dante, and the army with the policeman. So what is perception? And what we need to get the flame out and make the engine of this city working again. Perception is in fact is not a faithful transcription of the world we have in front of us. It's an illusion. What we see is not actually a visual imprinting of our retina. It's a strongly conditioned, as we see before, by our what we already know inside and what we expect to see. So we have a mental patterns that organize all this information like an internal eye that influence our education, our culture, the family, and the social environment. In Hellblade, In Hellblade, Ninja Theory basically using this principle. In the game is based on the protagonist's feelings and her horrible past and experience influence her perception of life. And in games you see a lot of puzzle made by perception of reality and what she thinks based on her illness. And so those puzzles make the player really feeling what the character feels, basically. And this is called visual solving. Our brain is actually solving enigma anytime, all the time, and is a gamer itself. And it makes something to make something attract to us. It can be paradoxically be less visible. The tricks that clearly introduce this difficulty, that our brain seem appreciate a lot, because for nature we like to focus and to solve puzzles, yes. But the pleasure, the main pleasure is coming when we solve the problem. We have this moment where we see, yes, we've done it. I love it, I did it. And this image is an example of it. Our brain selects all the little marks you see on this image, and as soon as you focus more and you realize actually there is a Dalmata dog in the middle eating something on the ground, your brain does like, wow, yes, I got it. So more these yes we do in our game, in our work, more we please the people. Yeah. And in this game, the Unfinished Swan, it's exactly using this technique. It's white, you don't see anything. Through black and white and negative spaces, you manage to see what the reality is, where you are, and benches and little tunnels and stuff. We can play with people's imagination and we can stimulate them, showing to them maybe something they are very familiar with. In this case, it could be a tree. But in Enslave, actually was a piece of mechanism. As soon as you have this metaphoric language where create a surprise, people seem to appreciate it a lot. So here we are. So where we perceive beauty is actually physically in the Vision of Brain. It's a book that I very strongly recommend. The neurobiologist Zeki, he managed to explain after all his experimenting that he locates in a specific area in our brain motion, form, and colors. These are those elements we perceive on the back. And this is very important to know that if we perceive very well those elements, we are very close to stimulate the beauty and to feel the beauty, which in that case, the blood goes everywhere and goes on front of our brain, and that stimulate basically is where we recognize the beauty. Be when we're eating something good as well, or when we are making love. If we had to think about an art style that stimulate all those three elements in the same time, is for sure the Impressionism. The Impressionism has all those three elements very clearly. The shapes, because it's very easy very simple elements that we can recognize. Colors, strong colors, but even the motion on the way how the brush stroke works. From the brush stroke, you get the motion. On the picture over there, you can feel the sun and the water is moving. If I have to think about a digital version of Impressionism, to me, recently I've seen Spider-Man, and I feel they do exactly the same things. The shapes and the colors are really well designed and recognized. The colors for focus are really, really strong and saturated. And the motion, I mean, I'm not talking about the motion because it's a movie, but I'm talking about the motion from each screenshot, which you feel like the offset chromatic element they use for depth field makes this kind of visual interest where everything seems to move, even is a still image. Plus, those lines, comic line that remind the cinetic line on the shadows and stuff like that. And I thought this was the most beautiful things I ever seen before, until I've seen that, which is on Netflix, The Witness from Alberto Mielgo, the same art director. That is blowing mind, and is following exactly all those rules. So what we need to perceive beauty then. There are elements that very important to attract to us. One is the equilibrium and symmetry, form and shapes, and contrast, and so light and color, of course. And everything, all of them, they can drive us to emotion. So let's talk about equilibrium. Well, an equilibrium, when we're thinking about the equilibrium, we think about each object is seen to having its position in space. It's not isolated, but is related to other parts. So we can talk about visual weight, focus, and harmony, and basically the composition of in games. There are many in the cinema. Kubrick, Anderson. There are many artists, many directors. They use symmetry to please ourselves, and they are so maniacal about it that it became even their own style. Everything seems to have to follow those rules to make amazing, incredible movies. In games, of course, conditioned about the gameplay. But these days, we have more and more games that are really close to to cinematography. Not only in the cutscene, but even in the gameplay. In an example, Shadow Colosseum, using cinematography techniques like the rule of third, even you got kind of free camera, the composition is always spot on those lines, and that helps to read all the time the characters, especially when you see the big Colosseum and the camera is able to show you the sides of these big creatures. Sorry, it's very difficult. So, form and shapes. Our brain is attracted to primitive forms. It seems that symmetry and a triangle is naturally attracting to us. This is the first piece of art ever. It's not a pizza. It looks like a slice of pizza. It looks like, actually, I thought. But it's like the first piece of art ever made. And it's amazing because they found the same art in two different countries, in two continents, actually. They didn't know each other. They were existing. And the same people, they made a triangle. It's actually a face, this one. And it was very interesting that when we are looking at a face, we create a triangle. And in games, we love triangles. We keep using those symmetric elements to, even on characters, to really make something special and that attract us from environment to anything. We can create anything in game, even the most complicated things, but still, in the end, is made by triangles, by polygons. Doesn't matter then how complicated is the scene. The important thing is everything. Basically everything made by triangles. The visual brain has developed to be able to distinguish and delineate objects in a visual field. So more more is crowded, more is difficult. It's difficult the task we have. A master of shapes is Spath. Using shapes, even working with Photoshop is good, brush with shape. Really to make sure any image is very easily readable. Then of course you can go in with details and stuff, but it's very important to work on form. So that's why we all know silhouettes are important. You can see a car like the job they do just for a silhouette. You can see an astronaut different, and you don't need details. You don't need anything. The details are an extra thing, and you can go crazy with the silhouette, and more people appreciate that more and are easy to read more. More we can go crazy with the creatures as well. In the art of perception, I wanted to bring the same image the Professor Haim talking about in his book. It's really interesting. And I thought it would help to understand shapes and realism. At first, we can see this image, which is called the source, as a beautiful realism woman. But if you really focus on that girl, we realize immediately the old position is really unnatural, and no way you can put the helmet like that. And so how is possible we feel natural looking at that if it's got this artificial pose? It's very important to analyze perfect geometry. You can see the triangle of the head remind even the triangle of the base next. Everything looks like following specific lines and shapes. So that helps us to make even more natural than an anatomically correct person. And analyze this difference force us to concentrate more and focus on the beauty only. The result we want to achieve then is stay away, is one thing, from photography reality. For him, the good artist is the one who represents human body he's not the artist is not the one that represents the human body. He's anatomically correct, but in the essential property. So it doesn't matter. So of course we need to know anatomy really well in order to manipulate it. But that is very important if you want to make things very realistic. The sense of the anatomy is really important, more than the actual anatomy itself. So the true essence is the true spirit of something. And it stimulates specific mood and emotion in us. That's why we love so much games that are stylized, let's say. The art of essence is a step more than just using shapes. is get to the through reality. and that's why we love this game basically, and we're thinking are more arty. This game are using visual rules to stimulate us emotionally, especially the grids is the visual metaphoric color language and emotion stories are well represented on these games. So what is realism? Why a lot of people say, oh wow, that's so cool, it's so realistic. So well, these are fundamental mistake, that is not realistic. But it's a well done job. When you see games like that, are good because are well equilibrated. No matter how much detail we have to distinguish and delineate objects in the visual field. You can see even the visual solving in Uncharted, where it's another triangle, but removing one part of the triangle, our brain automatically fill it up, and then it's a stimulation, we have it. This is not realism, but it's perception of realism. So make our brain please satisfy our needs and what we expect to see. In Hellblade, for example, in the early stage, you can see on top the first two images, and the other one is the difference between just basically taking the game how it is and same details, same objects, same things, but on the second image is much more readable because we're using carefully the atmosphere and the colors to make sure things are easy to read, basically. And that is something I love to do personally, painting over all the time to get the sense of what we see. So if we, sorry. So if we see those images, why we are thinking that Limbo and Inside are stylized. We can see on one side, on the right side, we got Limbo and Inside. On the other side, we got actually real photo. So what the difference? I don't see any difference. And one is actually reality. It's the way how the photographer show us the reality. So we can talk about stylized, stylized reality. But that place exists. It was there in that moment. So the way, so we don't need to know. Sorry. So those games are, the cool part of this is that basically show the sense of what reality think is, make us enjoy a lot. And it's very important to get, to me, much more the spirit and the mood of reality than just simple through daily reality. Same things on these games. You see on one side photographs, and on the other one games are stylized artistically, but when you put them together, those images together, you can see there is not even a journey that is over there, and the picture behind is actually a real photo. Okay, it's a bit Photoshop to push the color, but the point is that you don't see the difference when reality is showing in a specific and sensible way. So the purpose of art is not the faith to reproduce the reality, but rather to improve it. I love this sense. And in this Ramakadran, which is a neuroscientist, talking about in one of his interview about this theory, this experiment, and I really loved, and so I want to talk to you about it. It's called the super beak. And basically what it did, he was wondering how the chick recognized the mom and tapping on the peak to asking for food. Is actually no, this is mom, or there's something else on it. So what they've done, they instead of putting the mom, they recreate the peak with a yellow piece of wood with a red mark on it. Exactly same shape. They went close to them, and the chicks tap on them asking for food. So they realized it's the shape and colors that made them recognize it. You know, they didn't know it was their mom. They thought it was her mom. So next step, what they've done, they changed the peak. They made, they call it super peak. So maybe an enormous, much more extreme peak. Much more extreme with 3 marks, red marks, no one. And the reaction of the chicks was actually typing much more violent on top of that, like asking, oh my God, I can have much more food on that. And so the question is, if you are an art gallery, would you rather put a normal pic on your gallery or the super pic? So would you like to have someone passing by and say, okay, or to, wow, what's that? You know, I'm pretty sure we prefer the second one. And this is what we should do, making games. Really shock and push. And I did, in video games and in DMC, is what we're trying to do. Take reality and make it fly, or destroy it, making buildings that you are familiar with, and extreme and distort it, and put and basically make sure the people looking at that are uncomfortable. We can make them or uncomfortable or excited about it. And but it's very important that people recognize what they're looking at. There are many games that do the same. This is mental bound. I love it. There's a lot of colors and destruction. So the figure represented by the artwork must be natural enough to be classified and artificial enough to be remembered. So if we do a post-apocalyptic games, I rather prefer to be familiar with what they're looking at, like vegetation, for example, and New York, and then put the artificial element, which basically attract to us. We never seen New York in that way. We never seen for maybe the grass claiming on buildings and stuff. So that is a way to really stimulate basically beauty. No? So let's talk about contrast, which is light and color. Well, colors is a pure emotion, and you can see here in movies they're using it for specifically mood. Each color has a meaning. Each color could be used to tell what we want and to get people feeling a specific emotion, or not only on the scene, but even on characters, especially on characters, and they do very well in Pixar, where especially in this movie. So every character has a color, and a shape as well that communicates the personality they have. So what I like to do is like work on the environment the same way how Pixar been working on these characters' shapes and colors, and we'll give that a personality to an environment. Basically, the orange, the emotion comes from colors. In looking at concept art and visual development art of movies, they follow exactly this principle, where not only on shapes, but in this case on color, they extract completely the meaning of the colors and the lighting. It's not a realism lighting, but they extract the sense of it. When we see the the lighting yellow and the little orange line between, I've always been fascinated by that. The little small orange. We don't see it in live. We don't see it. We don't perceive that. So we can't see it when we're walking outside. But if we take a picture of outside and in Photoshop, maybe we saturate it a lot, maybe that little orange lights may appear, feel us the warmness. So of the environment. So in DMC, I want to have that effect. I want to extract that orange line. At that time, we didn't have any. The light system didn't allow us to do it, so I asked to the art team to place orange spotlights everywhere, just between the line. So when you walk, is like, fortunately, the shadow are not moving, but because of not being possible. But I really want that nice lines. In anime, often is present this line. I love it. So this is another part where Dante is going on this special in this world, and the difference between this and the virgin light is you can see the colors are warm in ones and more cold in the other one, and so to distinguish not only to make cool things, but to tell a specific emotion through the character lives in that moment. And I love using two dominant colors, complementary color, usually maybe a third one to balance everything, right? And again, as shapes, it's very important to recognize each element of it. And of course, in gameplay, colors can be used, and this game is incredible. Then the emotion, you can step back and see, in movies they do often that, you can do a screenshot, basically the storyboard of an entire game or entire movie, and you see the emotion come through that. You can see, and in movies, following the script, the first thing they do, they just put colors. Each area looking on the script. They put the script in a big paper usually, and they put colors attached to any moment. And then you see how the emotion on your movie drive your attention. And same thing, I'm trying to do on DMC, where things are going from a warm moment and to a cold one. The mix of color and lights is pure emotion. The lights, emotionally, the light is hope. Is the hope in the end of the tunnel, and but it seems, but it's a dreaming too. We are very attracted to that, and with lighting, we can basically, looking at the previous element I've been talking before, create through lights. We can create silhouettes, because without lights behind, we don't see anything. We can create the focus point, like a composition, and we can create the atmosphere, so the emotional side of it. So technically, really good lighting will manage us to make a video game without anything else. We don't need details with lighting, but only with details we can't do anything. So, sorry, it's very difficult. So, so we attract so much to the hope, to the lights. Right now I see two strong lights in front of me, and I'm not really attracted to that, but anyway. but I'm personally, I think beauty is coming from as well, and motion coming from little things daily we see in our life in front of us. I can see right now here a glit. The glitters. Without that, I would not looking at this chair. And walking around in LA now, I see a lot of nice reflection calling me, basically, and they get me always the attention, and that's why it's so beautiful journey. And so those little glit everywhere make us really, really love to see, love to watch it, and. I really think maybe because these little glitz make us dreaming and thinking about the stars and the cosmos, but objects around us are much more beautiful if they did a little glitz. But personally, I think the glitz is just driving us to the main point. So I really think our world is made by many glitz that driving us to the main one, which is always in front of us. Is a way to keep us alive and kind of be stimulated constantly. The glitz moving based on what we do. And same thing for the stars. We're looking. There are so many, and all of them drive our attention to the moon. The moon is the beauty. So, that light, the moon, everything remind us there is always a hope we're looking for, and the flame, basically, to bring the city back to life. Thank you. Thanks. Sorry for the for the cough. It's so difficult to talk. So I don't know if you have any questions. It's very philosophical, but very, yeah.
Yep.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Danny.
Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. I know it was hard, but it was really good. Thank you so much. My question is a bit maybe off topic, but how do you communicate all these ideas with the team members that don't necessarily know about all this? Like, I think we as an artist, at least as an artist, I'm challenged to get all this knowledge of shape and color and all these visual things that we learn. And how do you digest it for people who don't necessarily know about these things?
Sorry, can you go closer to the microphone? Sorry.
Oh yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. That is
cool. Then the question is, how do you communicate artistic language and knowledge to non-technical people, like not non-artistically technical people?
Well, I put in front of them the opposite. Mm-hmm. So if I show you something, like for example, show you. So that if you have like a game where everything is in place but it's not readable, you need to you show that why it's not readable and what you need to be readable. Mm-hmm. So always looking for the opposite helps to understand what you need to tell. Is what I usually do. I think it's better. What I do is showing and explain things through images. You can explain talking and stuff, but images usually are easy to read, and yeah. So I do that. I don't know if it's what you wanted to say.
Yep, that was it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi. So color is obviously a very powerful tool in kind of conveying these feelings and emotions and kind of the mood of the scene that you're trying to set. In a lot of modern games, with customization being quite a large element and personalization of various stuff, A lot of the time we end up relinquishing control of the artistic vision from a color perspective. Do you have any ideas or approaches of conveying those same kind of feelings and emotions through means other than color, where color's been removed as an element to work with?
Can you repeat?
Sorry.
So you're talking about, so give me an example, for example.
Yes, so for example, I mean, my contextual example is working on a game like Warframe, where you can customize a lot of your kind of personal approach and your character and all that kind of thing. A lot of the control of, or the artistic control of color and lighting and that kind of thing is removed from the artist. How else would you go about approaching those kind of elements when those tools have been removed from your kind of wheelhouse?
Oh, it's difficult. Well, there are some games that I think you can customize as well. You mean customize as well things?
Yes.
Because you can, where the characters. This is not easy things to do, but if you don't need to, if you don't customize the environment, you customize characters, I guess.
Yep.
But not the environment, isn't it?
Sure.
So the lighting and environment could actually influence the character of the characters using lighting and reflections, all this stuff.
Sure.
So no matter if I put a yellow straps or whatever because I'm crazy and I want to put whatever, but if the main dominant lights is the one you want to make sure, like for example, if it's a war, hot, I don't know now exactly what you're talking about, but I think that influence even those characters. Daily, we address, anyone address here as we want, in movies as well.
Yeah.
Well, in movies, I don't know, but we are, and we are influenced by the world. So I think, I would do that.
Sure, great. Thank you for the talk. It's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right answer.
Okay. Right here. Alex, thank you so much for the presentation. It was really awesome. Even, braving the flu, that was really good. Thank you for not dying. I was worried there for a moment. And my question is actually very interesting. We do know that we can stimulate people visually, right? We know that if we show you a certain sequence of lights and colors and shapes and pixels, you're gonna feel something on like a biological level.
Yeah.
Still, why do you find that it's such a struggle every time to sell people on more exaggerated looks? Because when you show it to people, they appreciate it and they go, yes, that is, I have a strong reaction to it.
Yeah.
But convincing people to go with that direction for a project is always so freaking complicated. I'm sure everyone here can relate to that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is such a problem?
It's very funny that when I try to move from games to movies, the first thing they ask me, can you desaturate everything? And then you see Marvel movies that fucking colors everywhere. I think there are some clients apparently that they need to feel like not too weird about what they see. And I mean, what my experience, and I never understood why, if the end of the movie, the end of the production is colorful, why my concept shouldn't. I mean, there was a period of that, I don't know now, but on all the time, you should desaturate, you should do, no, I don't want to do that because it's cool. It's what I like to I think if you are an art director and the producer are not convinced about that, you decide.
Fair enough. I'll take it. Thank you.
So.
Hey, thanks for the talk. Fantastic. I wanted to ask you one thing, and that is you really conveyed your love for all the things that inspire you, the glitter, the lights, the colors, the shapes. But once you create a single image or you focus on one scene, you really need to restrain yourself, right? That you focus on one specific aspect, one emotion that you want to convey with a striking singular possibly image. How do you restrain yourself? How do you find that one thing that is best for this one scene in this sea of influences?
I usually close my eyes and imagine to be in that moment, there, in that place. I do it when characters. I really look inside on me, and I think, okay, if I was there, if I'm there in this moment, stand there, and I want to feel the beauty, like, let's say, stressed, or if I want to feel like scared, what would make me scared? Because you have experience in your life, of course, when you've been scared and you've been, you know. So if you remember those moments and you try to apply it to that scene, you may find the solution. Like, for example, I know, just, you know, horror movies or turn and you see something, I don't know, something like anything that really concentrate on before starting anything. Just imagine, okay, I'm there, I walk in there, and then I have to feel that. And you imagine in your mind, what about if I hand or whatever? I don't know. But I usually do that before start drawing. That helps to me. I usually characters in the same way. I'm not start any sketch. First, I really want to feel inside what the character feels. And so if Senua of Hellblade has been through wars and fighting, and so I'm thinking, okay. I remember the first time we created Senua, we wanted to maybe make a character without a ear, without a hand, because we thought, or maybe she's been so many fighting that she doesn't have any more fingers, or maybe a piece of nose. I know, something weird. So even if you don't show what happened, you don't show it, but as soon as you see the character, you may feel, oh wow, she's been through a lot. So yeah, the same thing for environment, basically.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for the talk. I think it's very.
Anyway, I forgot something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah. So I kind of related to the same question. Like, when do you know, like, once you start like iterating on your pieces before committing to one, when do you know, like, when to stop just looking for the inspiration rather than just committing to doing like a finished painting or like a finished piece of concept, so you can.
Sorry, can you start? I was.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. So what I was asking is like once you start iterating and like getting ideas into a concept, like,
yeah.
When do you know when to stop looking for the concept rather than just like polishing the piece or polishing the illustration so you can handle the rest of the team?
Right. It's important to stop before the moment you think in your mind. Sometimes we what I feel in myself as well. I mean, but I over put in details, and I see a lot of concept art that they go crazy because thinking detail is cool. We are always, surrounded by incredible super detailed things, which the only one that works are the one that details in specific area where you want people to focus on. So if it doesn't necessarily everywhere have to be super incredible. So you have to step back and ask yourself where I want people to looking at on my piece. I want to look at the face of the girl because I want her because she's crying, and I want that person feel like her sadness. Mm-hmm. So if I want the people feel the sadness, I will concentrate on details on the eyes, and maybe the rest I don't care. Mm-hmm. But if you want to draw the attention to the mountain over there, and you just. Or the path, maybe the path could be really realistic, be more detailed, going through something, and you don't really care about the plants there, the little mouse running. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like all the details. No, Frazetta, painters. Yeah, okay. Yeah, look at him. I mean, Frazetta is put details exactly in the spot he loves, and it doesn't. You don't need to the rest.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Hello, going this side.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. Thanks for the talk.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
My aesthetics kind of go in the same vein of what you're showing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see people with different tastes that really kind of gets away from what I'm comfortable seeing, and I'm always amazed, and I can kind of cite some examples like Yoshi's woolly fabric, like some things with heavy pattern and heavy texture making, kind of like African art or crocheting. Is there any part of this that kind of delves into what you talked about, more like pattern making and textures?
I remember I don't know if for each text, because of course, if the text is coming close to you, if you don't put okay, let's say you have 3 objects, you want one is closer and one is further. You want people looking at this and not that, for example. I think it's more the atmospheric element than the push back the other one. Because if you put both texture in a different way, when this character is coming closer, it looks like, you know. So I remember in Ninja, the grass we had around, because it was too expensive, we couldn't put grass everywhere, but we love it. We want to put, like Enslave. Okay, Enslave is not much grass, but there was this technique where basically there was a circle around the character, and the character moving, he was bringing the grass with him. So your perception was like the grass was everywhere, because actually it was around here, just moving like that. And I think maybe we can do the same way, you know, like reduce the noise. That is the important thing, you know, the noise that sometimes is too much. Why more further you go on the scene? Maybe I would ask to some technicians to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I got 5 minutes. Cool. Finished. So this is my book anyway. If you are interested, it's gonna be out soon.